Hello, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, I have a new friend with me, and Pamela, I would love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do.
Oh, well, first of all, I'm so honored to be a guest on your podcast. So thank you so much for asking me. And we really did have a great time at lunch, meeting for the first time at lunch a couple of weeks ago. So I appreciate that as well. I am a mother of four, once married mother of four. I'm just about finishing my last child. She's on her way off to college in about 4 months, and I will be what's called an empty nester.
Oh,
And so in addition to being a mom before, I have my own business, which is in business consulting and self-empowerment coaching. So I've combined those two things together to support women in their journey to be a successful business owner or to get rid of some of the baggage that holds us back from being the great women that we were designed to be. So I love that work because helping women see what they have not seen about themselves, and I have a part to play in showing the mirror of their beauty and greatness. I can't tell you, Regina, there's nothing more satisfying than that experience with them.
I can
That's
imagine.
why I love what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, because as a woman, I'm going to speak for a lot of women. I'm going to do a generality, but I think we all have that within us where we're like, beating ourselves up about one thing or another. And it's just sometimes it can be crippling to our own, future, either in our personal lives or our professional lives. So having someone like you help us come through that is
Yeah.
amazing grace at the end of the day.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And that's kind of the feedback that I get when I ask, how was this experience for you? So I appreciate you recognizing that. Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So I know you've had a journey, a long journey in your career, and you're doing amazing things. But I don't know if you want to give a little bit of background on your journey, your professional journey, and if you want to share any of your personal journey. This is a
Mhm.
safe place. Only a
Yeah.
couple hundred or 1,000 people will see it. It's okay.
We're all best friends here,
We're all
right?
best friends here.
Yeah, so I was excited to come on your show because I do want to talk about and share the topic of once married. I've recoined it, divorce, but once married seems to be a little bit more settling and palatable. And so I was married for 18 years, and this May I will have been divorced 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it's been a very long journey, as you said, because during my marriage, a large part of my marriage, I was what we call the stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mother. And while I have a graduate degree and I had great careers in the past, I chose, I'll take ownership for this. I chose to stay home and be with the children. But I chose that because my spouse had many, I should say, wonderful opportunities to advance his career. And so I had a career, but when his career started taking off and we had to move from one location to a farther away location, I had to decide, like, do I go or do I stay? If I
Yeah.
stay
Yeah.
and he goes, what happens with the children? So on a few occasions, at least two, the decision was made for me to follow. And that was costly.
Yeah.
That was costly emotionally, it was costly financially, it was costly spiritually, because what I did, unknowing, if I could have looked into the future and thought this through and said, if you do this, this is what your future is going to be like, I might have made a few different decisions. But nevertheless, here I was, the one moving back and forth, giving up careers in order to support my spouse and my family. in order to be supportive to my spouse and my family. And once we divorced, it became painfully clear to me that that was not the best move. Meaning, maybe I did move. Like, what are you going to do? Like, as I said, so your spouse is moving, your spouse has got a better job. You can't say, well, you can't have that job because I don't want to leave. Like, come on. But maybe I could have found some ways to work a little bit part time or start my own business earlier, or had incredible support so I could still work full time. There were a
Right,
lot of things I could have considered, Regina, at the time, but I wasn't thinking on that level.
right.
And I'm here today to help any woman who's thinking about going through or even coming out of divorce to consider and was a dependent to consider what her life could be like financially. And I'm not the financial part. I'm just like, go talk to somebody. I
Yeah,
wish, I could have talked to Regina. Go talk to someone to make sure that the decisions that you're making financially are sound for you, not today, but 5, 10 years from today.
right.
That's where we have to think about 5 to 10 to 20 years from today. What is this decision that you're making right now? What's the impact of that?
Yeah, it's a huge impact. It's an absolute huge impact.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you've experienced that as a result.
Yes, and I want to also challenge, I've used the word dependent, and I want to actually challenge my own word. I was having a conversation, this was years ago, after my divorce, I was having a conversation with a friend. I said, yes, I've been the dependent spouse, and I'm just, upset and crying. And he said, you weren't a dependent spouse because dependent implies incapable.
Mm,
You chose to stay home and you chose to follow your spouse. That's not being incapable. That's a decision that you made. Whether it was a good decision or a bad decision it's irrelevant. The point of the matter is let's stop calling you dependent because that carries its own emotional burden, just the word.
yeah,
Um,
fair call, fair call.
so I use that word to set up describing what I was, but that's not the word that I've chosen to apply to myself. I've always, and I think this is the thing. I would love to hear your piece on this, but we think we're not capable as women financially. Too many of us think we're not financially capable of taking care of the household and understanding the bills or understanding investment. We think we're not, but we really are.
But we so are.
Yes,
So
aren't we?
yes.
And I really want to encourage women to tap into their genius
Yeah.
in this area. And that may require learning and growing and studying and holding hands with Reginas of the world, but you can do it because you have that capacity.
Right, right, right. Well, it's a beautiful sentiment, and it's tough to learn those lessons. For anyone. I mean, and I told you my story where I was a child of a situation like that.
Right.
And as a result, I would never allow myself to be dependent on anyone. And I'll have to change that word, rely on someone else for, my better
Yeah.
good or my financial abilities. So
Hmm.
I learned at a very young age to take care of myself and especially financially, and look
Hmm.
out for my own financial well-being. So it's a
Yes.
lesson that's hard learned. And I will say that, as women, we're still learning that. I can tell you so many women still come to me and they're in that same situation where, for the greater good, they stayed at home with the kids and, the husband's career was taking off and they supported the career by staying home. But then they gave up a piece of themselves, not just the money part. They gave up a piece of themselves and their professional life and their professional future, by staying home. And some people love, being a stay-at-home mom, and that's great. But sometimes you give a piece of yourself up and later on you could regret it.
I would love it if I could tell a quick story about giving up a piece of yourself.
Absolutely.
And I keep wiping my eye. I just want your audience to know I'm not crying. It's just that this eye wants to act funny this morning for some reason. But you're so on point with giving up a piece of ourselves. And every woman has to decide what that piece is or be aware that they might be giving up a piece of themselves. And I will never ever forget, Regina. It was at least 15 years ago. At the time I was still married.
Okay.
And I was in the basement of my home playing with my kids or watching them play in a very depressed state because I was staying at home and I really wanted to do other things like work, love my kids, but wasn't crazy about being a stay-at-home mom. I'll just keep it real.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember that they were playing, and all of a sudden, this overwhelming sense of sadness came over me, and I started crying.
Oh,
And I didn't want my kids to see that I was. So I quietly thought thought I was quietly leaving to go upstairs because I was going to cry the way I needed to in the bathroom. So I locked myself in the bathroom. This is a house where all the keys to the bathroom were the same. So I went to every bathroom in the house, took those identical keys and locked myself in the bathroom.
oh,
And that's where I cried my eyes out. And my kids recognized I had left and they came to find me. They were knocking on the bathroom door. Mommy, mommy, what's wrong? Please open the door because they could hear me.
yeah.
I mean, I was
When you
bawling.
get to that point, you're in it.
Yes. I mean, we're talking about the ugly cry.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were knocking on the door, and I just couldn't find it within myself, Regina, to answer their call. And so my daughter, my oldest, who was 7 at the time, so we're talking about 7-year old, 6-year old, 5-year old, 2-year old, okay,
Wow.
watching their mother breaking down.
Oh,
My oldest child called her father and said, Mommy is crying and she won't answer the door. My husband at the time told my daughter, just don't worry, I'll be home soon and I'll call Phyllis, her friend, which was my friend. I'll call Phyllis to come by and see. By the time my husband had gotten home, my daughter took him to the bathroom that I was in and he knocked on the door saying, Open the door, Pam, open the door. And I ignored him. And he kept knocking, open the door. And I just kept ignoring. Then I stopped hearing the children crying and I stopped hearing him knocking on the door. But then I heard a soft knock. Pam, open the door. It's me, Phyllis. You can open the door. And Regina, the moment I heard Phyllis's voice, I got off the floor, opened that door. She closed it behind her, locked it. She fell to her knees and grabbed me while I was on that floor. And Phyllis held me and she hugged me and she said, Pam, I love you. I love you, Pam. And she rocked me and she held me and she didn't ask me to explain any of like, why are you on the floor, girl?
mm,
Nothing. When she couldn't hear the kids or my spouse like out at the door waiting for me to open it, she got me out of that house and we went to a coffee shop and talked. And that was when I recognized that I was not crazy, but I had given up a piece of myself.
yeah.
I had given up my power and desire to be what I wanted to be, to work, to contribute financially to the household, and still parent.
Yeah.
I wanted both worlds. I didn't want to have given up so much, although if you had known me at the time, you're like, oh, she's doing great. Oh, look, she's handling the kids. She's being a great mom and a great wife. No, I was dying on the inside. And that breakdown was my wake up call that some way, somehow, Pamela Elaine is going to have to figure out what she's lost of herself and how to get it back.
Wow. Wow. I
So
mean,
you were spot on when you said we give up a part of ourselves,
yeah.
and I gave up a lot.
Oh my God. I'm like, my heart is touched by your friend. That such a loving, compassionate thing to do with you and for you. And we all need a girlfriend like that.
Right?
And to help take you through something like that. And you know
Yeah.
what? I mean, having that good cry and allowing that to happen actually started the healing process right there.
Yes,
right?
it absolutely did. And unfortunately, it wasn't my first breakdown.
Mhm.
It would not have been my last breakdown, I should
Yeah.
say. I
Yeah.
had one sometime later because sometimes when you're healing, you regress a little bit, you know.
Right.
You have to go back because you bruise yourself again or you hurt yourself again on this healing path. So it's not linear
Yeah. No, it never
at
is.
all. But
Right.
what it was the wake up that there is healing that needs to be done.
Right.
And if you don't start it, you're going to be a mess and your kids are going to watch this mess happen. So let's see if we can help get this thing together. And unfortunately, it was the beginning of the end for me, meaning that that was the beginning of my journey, that this is a marriage that I could no longer find supportive or comforting.
Mhm.
Um, and there might be some wives out there whose husbands were very happy that they were home with their children. That was not my experience.
Mm. Oh,
So while I'm giving up working to follow his career, there wasn't an appreciation for having given this up. So it was like a double whammy, slap, slap, slap.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, goodness,
But
goodness.
it's not a sad, it sounds like a sad story, but it's not a sad story because I found my voice, I found my power. But I will say what's been difficult was getting back on track financially. And
Right.
this is where I want to come back to
Okay.
your audience and reminding them that there is a cost to this because I've, wasn't once was not the most desirable person for employment because I'd been out of the game for so long,
Right.
right? And then getting back, having my own business, just because you have your own business doesn't mean that you're making seven figures a year. So there's still work to be done,
Yeah.
but I know that the work can be done. And I am definitely on a path for financial freedom sometime very soon in my future. So doesn't matter where you are to your audience, you can get back on track and have a financial future that you can be proud of.
Oh, gorgeous. I love it. Love it. What a
Yeah.
great passion that you have. I mean, obviously you've lived it, and you've had the pain and you've had the suffering, but you've also worked towards, your new goals and what's important for you.
Yes, exactly. And I love that you said that, like, let's set the goal. Like, what do you want? It doesn't matter if you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s. I'm in my 50s.
Mhm.
And so some would be like, oh gosh, there's no hope for you. You're looking at retirement in a minute, but set your goal
Yeah.
and then find people to help support you in achieving that goal, right? Like you're the one to know. You're the one that's like, is it too late for me, Regina?
No, never too late. Never too late.
Yeah.
So you have done all this and now you've also built your coaching business, as you're traveling through this and
Yeah.
healing and growing into your own person, your new life.
Hmm.
How are you using your coaching business to help others, and how would people find more about you in your coaching business?
Mm. Yeah. So, one of the things that I'm doing in my coaching business that I really love is helping peaceful divorce practitioners build their business.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So there are two things. So one is the business side. And there's at least a client that I have whom I love. You know her, Lenore Myers,
Oh,
and helping her build her, because if we can help people who are divorce peacefully, then the whole pain of the economic piece is lessened. The whole drama around money and finances is lessened because we're taking them through a peaceful process. So if I can help a lot of peaceful divorce practitioners get more clients, then I'm helping the world.
right.
I'm helping the world do better.
Yes, you
And
are.
then
Yes, you
and
are.
then in addition to that, it's the one-on-one or the private coaching of clients who, as I mentioned earlier, they're in their own way. They're in their own way to their own success. and helping them see if you change a few things here in how you think about yourself, you can be on track for success in the way that you define success. And these particular women are those who put everybody's needs on the front burner and their own on the back burner.
Oh, yeah.
These are the women who don't practice self-care, who, the day goes by and they look back and go like, what did I do for myself? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But you certainly did a whole lot for everybody else. These are my ideal clients. They're like, I need to be first. I need to be a priority. And those are the ones that typically do pretty well in my course. And the way that they can reach me is through the way that one-on-one coaching is through my website. Did you want me to give
Yeah,
that
I
or?
do want you to tell us that. Yes.
Yeah.
People
It's
need to reach out to you.
and I want them to executivebeauty.net. www.executivebeauty.net is the way to reach me. And I run this program with my business partner, and she and I are what we call duo coaches. So instead of getting one coach, you get two coaches, one once married coach and one married coach, giving a perspective on how to change your thoughts so you can change your life.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Very good.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my,
yeah.
all right, great. Wow. I think that everyone should listen to this. I mean, just the beauty in what you spoke about and the compassion that you spoke with it and the conviction of what you're doing now to help other people
Yeah,
is
yeah.
so amazing.
Yeah, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. I feel like it's holy work. I
Yeah,
really do.
yeah, it
I
is. It's a
do.
mission. Absolutely.
It's a mission.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for spending some time with me. I really appreciate you sharing so much and, all the work that you're doing in the field. I love what you say about, a peaceful divorce, because that is, something that divorces don't have to be nasty. They don't have to be, adversarial. If you keep it peaceful, it's going to be a lot smoother for everybody on the
Yes,
during and after.
that is correct. And peaceful doesn't mean that you like the other person or that you're happy about the things that they did or happy about the things you did. It just means we're going to settle this in a way that it's a win-win for both of us and our children and our family and our futures. That's peace.
Right, right. And I think our call to action today is going to be what you said. Decide what your goals are. What are your goals? Not anyone else's. What are your goals? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What are your goals? And I like that you said not anyone else's, because again, we tend to, well, what's in the best interest of
Yeah.
him or
Everyone
her or
else
them?
but mine. Yeah. Yeah. It's the
Exactly.
airline. When you get on the airline, they say, put the oxygen mask on you first, then other people. And then as
Yes,
moms, we do everybody else and then us. Yeah. And by then
that's
there's no
exactly right.
oxygen left.
We're just we're just out. Exactly, exactly. Well, I appreciate you letting me on the show today and appreciate you tolerating my wiping my eye every few minutes. And I
Absolutely.
hope that, I hope your listeners have a important takeaway and that they feel empowered and encouraged in their own journey. That would make this all worthwhile.
Amen to that. Amen to that. All right. Well, thank you everyone else for joining us today. Again, I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. Our website is forgewealth.com, and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, on Instagram at Forge Wealth Management, and LinkedIn, Regina McCann Hess. Thanks and have a great day.